People always talk about how underrated The Princess Diaries is, how underrated insert other little girl oriented movie was. But does anyone remember Ella Enchanted? Because that shit is underrated. Nobody ever brings it up as a part of Anne Hathaway's incredible filmography. Nobody ever brings up how it was a cultural reset. I'll say it. It was the blueprint. She was the OG, the classic, the original. If you can't already tell, I really loved Ella Enchanted. We'll get into it. I actually remember watching it in theaters. Like, I think this might have been one of the first movies I ever saw in theaters. Yeah, I remember I went with my sister and her friend, and we went to the arcade in the movie theater afterwards. I say arcade, but it was just kind of like two claw machines and like the two-person shooter ones, you know, when you have the gun and you shoot at the... This isn't relevant. I guess you could say I have a very nostalgic attachment to the movie, okay? I've rewatched this movie so many times. I don't want to jinx myself, but I will never get tired of rewatching this movie. And like, honestly, I could ramble on about this movie for like an hour, but to make it easier on y'all, I've decided to make my thoughts more cohesive by splitting them up into separate categories. Maybe I'll flash them on the screen if I'm feeling productive enough to put that on the screen. Let's not stress about the details. Oh yeah, by the way, my name is Mandeep, if you can pronounce it. This video was actually the first video to be early accessed on Patreon, which I have now. I actually have really cute tiers, so I'm just gonna flash them on the screen right now. There's Diet Bepsi, Dr. Bepsi, and then Cherry Bepsi, of course. You don't have to support, like, I'm not gonna die or anything, you know, like, but you know, this is just if you like me and you like my content and you want to support. My patrons were able to actually vote on which video went up first. It was a choice between Does Anyone Remember Ella Enchanted and Everything I Hate About Twilight. And if you think they made the wrong decision, well, first of all, they didn't, because they're my patrons. How dare you say that about them? But also, if you pledge to my Patreon, then you can also be involved in the decision making in the future. So, and also, I'll reiterate, I love money. Yeah, let's talk about Ella Enchanted. Let's go over the plot just so everyone's on the same page. So, in the kingdom of Lamia, a little round, tiny, bubbly baby is born named Ella. And because they didn't have last names or something back then, she's just called Ella of Frel. And I guess in this world, every single baby is given a gift by their fairy godmother. And it just so happens that Ella's fairy godmother is Lucinda, who kind of has a reputation for being a bit out there, obnoxious maybe, a little misguided perhaps. She, after seeing what a fussy baby Ella is, which I mean, like, all babies are fussy, you know, like, gives her the gift of obedience, as in she has to listen to every order someone gives her. I mean, that doesn't even sound like a good idea, like, on its face. You know how some things where it's like, oh, well, that sounds like a good idea. You know, having everything you touch turn to gold sounds like a good idea at first, until you're hugging your daughter and it's like, oh, wait. Am I right, ladies? Anyway, Ella has to obey every order that she's given. And, you know, as you can tell, this makes for a very hard childhood. But it's okay because she meets her best friend, Arita, who's being bullied because she's from a different kingdom or something. But honestly, with the makeup of the town, it kind of just looks like she's being bullied for being like a little brown girl. So the fact that Ella stands up for her, I will be saving Anne Hathaway in the race war. Let's just put it that way. I also love that once she gets older, she's played by Parminder Nagra, who also plays the lead in a movie that was very influential to me growing up, Bend It Like Beckham. Let me know if y'all want a video on that also in the future, because I just thought of that and I was like, wow, I need to talk about that. Ella's mom contracts mother of the main character syndrome, which is terminal, and she dies, but not before giving Ella a final command, which is not to tell anyone about her gift because she thinks they might use it against her. Which, I mean, can we be honest? It's pretty obvious as we'll see, to figure out Ella's gift. So the fact that she magically obligated to not tell people is so stupid, and it doesn't make any sense, honestly. I know that it's just like there to move the plot along, to create a conflict, but it's like, it's so obvious. This pissed me off even as a kid, but she's a dead mom, so I guess we can't criticize her choices. Then her dad, who seems to be a watch salesman of some kind, because they're so poor, because he's literally selling watches door to door like a fucking MLM. Maybe stop being such a girl boss, Mr. Ella's dad, and get a real job, and then you wouldn't have to bring these terrible women into your daughter's life. Anyway, so it's very much like a evil stepsister type of thing. Olga and Hattie. Honestly, I gotta say, I love these sisters. They're great. Like I said, I love over-the-top evil women, and they are no exception. Another point in favor of Ella and Arita, they are protesting for ogre rights. We love an activist. And because of this, Ella actually kind of hates Prince Char, played by Hugh Dancy, who has a very dedicated fan club. As she's leaving, she runs into Prince Char actually while he's running away from his fan club. She charms him by being a little not like other girls. Classic.
Well, Ella or Frau, you're the first maiden I've met who hasn't swooned at the sight of me.
Then maybe I've done you some good.
Tell Ella I'll be in touch. Ella or Frau, you are not like other girls.
And then, because they're so jealous of Ella, to make her feel bad, they make her stop being friends with Arita, which honestly, I remember being really sad about this as a kid, but also I didn't understand how Arita didn't know that Ella had like this obedience thing. Like, they've been friends for how long? 10 years at this point? And like, she hasn't picked up on the fact that anytime anyone tells Ella to do something, she's basically forced to do it. Like, if Hattie can pick it up within like minutes of knowing Ella, I don't understand how you can't when you've been friends for this long. And like, to be quite frank, it's not like Hattie's the sharpest tool in the shed, you know? Whatever, it's another plot hole, but again, I don't care. I love this movie.
Ellie could never be friends with an Aorthian.
But this is like kind of a breaking point for Ella. This is the spark that will begin her hero's journey. She's like, this is it, I'm done. I can't keep taking orders like this. I can't keep being forced to do things that make me so miserable. I'm gonna find Lucinda, the fairy godmother who gave her the gift in the first place, and I'm gonna force her to take it back. They have a household fairy, Mandy, which, by the way, I guess I didn't pick up on this as a kid, but I guess there are levels to like the types of fairies. Like, there's like a hierarchy. Like, that's interesting. Like, she's only a household fairy, but Lucinda's a fairy godmother, so it's like, do you work your way up, or is it like a stratified society that like you're born into it and you stay there? Because that seems kind of fucked up, but you know. Mandy is her name. She lends Ella her book boyfriend, her book friend, who's a book because she casts some kind of spell on him by accident and she doesn't know how to turn him back. And she can see where Lucinda is, her location, from the book. So Ella leaves, using the book as a guide. While she's on her journey, venturing through the forest, she comes across a very uppity elf named Slannon, who the ogres have captured and are mocking because he wants to be a lawyer, but the laws of the land, ever since King Edgar took over, he forces all of the magical creatures into like one specific area, and elves must be entertainers. But Slannon is like, I'm not like other elves. I don't want to be an entertainer. I want to be a lawyer. But yeah, they're like, an elf that wants to be a lawyer. Ella tries to rescue him, but then she also gets captured because of the whole obedience thing. Which, I mean, you know, like, can we like let her just be smart, please? But whatever. Char shows up. He does the whole saving the day as the prince thing. Ella does the whole convince the prince that maybe his family isn't doing the right thing because I'm such an activist thing. So he joins her and Slannon on their way to the Giants because, again, they're looking for Lucinda, and the last place she'd seen Lucinda in the book was at a Giant's wedding. When they arrive at the wedding venue, they're playing Bollywood music in the background. I noticed that as a kid too. I was like, wow, they're playing Bollywood music. This part is when they, they get a little spicy, they get a little saucy, and Ella and Char perform a duet of Somebody to Love for all of the wedding guests. Honestly, this like awoke something in me as a child. I was like, what is going on? Are they allowed to do that in a children's movie? I would be like averting my gaze because my mom's sitting on the couch with me and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this to me. Ella, Enchanted, why did you do this to me? The part when he was like, kiss me, and then he was like, that wasn't in order, and she's like, I know, and I'm like, okay, romance, love, passion, perhaps? They make their way to the castle, and then at the castle, Ella's stepsisters, Hattie and Olga, are talking to King Edgar to impress him, I presume. They tell him that Ella has the gift of obedience, as in she cannot refuse anything that she is ordered to obey. And so this Edgar's like, oh, well, I've seen my nephew, Char, making eyes at her, so I'll just use Ella to do my dirty work. Side note, did anyone else think that this moment when Edgar was testing out the whole obedience thing with Ella was kind of weird? Like, it definitely gave me weird vibes as a kid, and like watching it back now, I'm like, yeah, this was definitely a weird choice, but whatever. Anyway, Edgar, once he's sure that Ella really can't disobey any orders she's given, he orders her to murder Char at midnight because Edgar knows that Char is going to propose to Ella because he's head over heels in love with her, and he's going to use that to his advantage. He also says she can't tell Char about this plan. So Ella can't tell Char about the plan to kill him. She can't tell Char that there's something, in her biology that makes it that she can't refuse orders or whatever. So she writes him a letter saying like, hey, I gotta go. I can't tell you why, but don't look for me. And then she has Slannon tie her to a tree, chain her up really far away so that she'll physically be unable to carry out the command, which is a very interesting plot development because I'm like, what would happen then? Because she would be like struggling to get there, but like she wouldn't physically be able to carry out the command. Like, what would happen? Like, that's such an interesting point. I kind of wish they would have let it happen, like let it play out, but what happens is as it gets closer to midnight, Lucinda appears just out of nowhere by surprise, by happenstance, and she sees Ella all tied up. She's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And then Ella's like, oh my God, please take the gift back. And then Lucinda's like, how dare you tell me to take back a gift that I gave you that I honestly think is pretty good. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have you unchain yourself, put you in a fancy dress, and send you off to the castle because that's where a pretty girl like you should be. And not knowing, the whole dramatic irony of the thing is that that's exactly the last place that Ella needs to be right now. So she comes back to the castle, she stumbles into the ball. Char sees her and he's like, oh my God, there's the girl of my dreams, the woman that I love. He whisks her away into this little secret hall covered in mirrors. It's very nice, very beautiful. I would love to be proposed to here. Or mercilessly stab my lover in the back. That too. It's honestly a very versatile space. But of course, right before Ella is about to stab Char, she sees her reflection. She sees what she's about to do. She's like, I can't do this. I can't kill the man I love just because I was forced to do it. And so she actually does something that I've never heard of before, which is she commands herself to no longer be obedient, which is interesting. And I cannot believe she's not tried to do that before, but I'm sure, emotions are running high. Maybe it's more effective right now. But as luck would have it, Char looks up because she's like screaming orders at herself in the mirror. And he sees in the reflection that Ella is like holding a dagger that she's about to stab into his back. And he has her detained and arrested for murder, attempted murder, because he's like, what the hell? Benny the book, you forgot about him, didn't you? Me too. Slannon finds him. Benny's like, hey, Ella is trapped in the dungeon because she was framed. And Slannon's like, okay, I know what we gotta do. So he sneaks into the castle with a bunch of giants and some elves and ogres, and they spring her from the prison.
Her what?
Her lawyer, numbskull.
If the gauntlet doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Now open this door before I sue you for everything you own.
Benny shows Ella that Edgar has poisoned the crown that they're going to be using to coronate Char. Is that the right word? Coronate? Whatever the crown is that they're going to be using at the coronation. So they got to get there before they kill my man Hugh Dancy. And so right as Char is about to be crowned, Ella busts into the hall and, you know, crash the ceremony, and they all start fighting with the soldiers and the magical creatures. And then Mandy is able to turn Benny into a human again. Char and Ella fight off the guards together. She confesses her love. She tells him, hey, your uncle's about to kill you. And he also killed your dad.
You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. And that crown that he's about to put on your head is a trick. It's poison.
Whoa.
I haven't mentioned Edgar's snake this whole time, like the CGI snake, but I did love it. He added a lot of flavor to the story. But yeah, he gets trampled by Char's fan club and stuff. And then Edgar, in a classic Disney villain move, is like, no, I will be the king. And then he puts the poisoned crown on his head and dies. So then Char and Ella are married. Hattie and Olga are jealous. Char toasts to the new reign of equality in his kingdom. Ella takes back her mother's locket, rips it right off of Hattie's neck. They perform a final dance number, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, together. Love it. Classic. Beautiful movie. And they all lived happily ever after. One of the first things I want to touch on about what makes Ella Enchanted such a great movie for me personally is the setting. And this is something that I think a lot of movies get wrong about, like, adaptations, is they never really commit to the setting, at least when it's a fairy tale book adaptation. They actually filmed Ella Enchanted in Ireland, and I think that was a great choice because there's like a lot of lush greenery. There's wooded areas for all the parts that take place in the woods. It's a beautiful scenery, you know, like it's a beautiful setting. And they also have like these shots of the town, right? And it's like, I just love that stuff where it's like they have the little market, the bazaar, all the structures, all the wooden buildings look so fantastical. They look so cute and quaint, you know? It gives everything a very fairy tale feeling, and I just love that because it's like you watch the scenes and it's like you're there, and then you get to like the palace, it's just beautiful. Honestly, I love it. They didn't overdo it. It's not like all CGI'd in or whatever, but it feels real enough that, like, you know, maybe if I go to Ireland, I'll be able to see this. Next thing I love about this movie, the actors. You cannot deny this is a star-studded cast. Okay, you got Anne Hathaway playing Ella of Frel. Anne Hathaway was such a good choice for this character. First of all, can we talk about how good Anne Hathaway looks here? Like, I was having conflicted feelings as a kid. I was like, oh my God, she's so pretty. And like, she really captures that, like, the peak, like, brunette girl, you know, that would be like YN in like a bunch of fan fictions that you would be reading. Like, that was her. Like, when they talked about YN, it was Anne Hathaway. Like, it definitely wasn't me because I was like brown and like not conventionally attractive, but like, it was definitely Anne Hathaway. Her clothing, I feel like her clothing choices fit well too. Not just because she got these ugly ass boots on and she has like the little peasant top or the peasant blouse thing that's like very fitting in my mind, in my 8-year-old mind for this type of setting. And then she has like that long skirt, you know, and like the necklace was also really nice. You know what scene stuck with me the most? Related to her clothing, at least. The part where she's like, she has her mom's locket on and Hattie is like, hand it over. And she just rips it off of her neck and hands it over. I always wondered, I was like, wow, how did she do that? Did she just break the clasp? And how is Hattie gonna put it on now? But I think it just turned out to be like a magnet or something. And then Prince Charming, Hugh Dancy. Has there ever been a more accurate casting in your life? Like, Hugh Dancy is too pretty for his own good. Like, that man is too beautiful. I don't know what it is, but like, someone needs to like tell him to like calm down, because oh my god, why is he so pretty? And like, I did watch a few episodes of Hannibal solely because like the dual star power of Mads Mikkelsen and Hugh Dancy was enough of a draw for me. And then I stopped. I don't know. I fell off. I don't remember why. Maybe I'll rewatch it and then we can talk about it on like Patreon or something. But yeah, he was the perfect prince, because as a child, I always had such a problem when like a character would be playing someone who is supposed to be very attractive or like the most perfect man. And even as a kid, I was like, I don't believe you. Like, that man's not cute. He's not attractive. I'm supposed to believe that all these girls are going crazy over him. It really shows you how little I knew about the world, because people really will go crazy over the ugliest guys in real life. So, I mean, like, I guess that was just my first taste of reality. But Hugh Dancy as Prince Charming, I believed it. For the first time, I was like, yes, I would go crazy over this man. And I could see a bunch of fangirls chasing after him. And I could also see him being very beleaguered and like very nervous and stuff about it. I don't know. I'm into that. I'm into like, you know, like the scared, nervous guys. I love that. And then this, I'll just mention this because I feel like it deserves a mention. The girl who plays Hattie has played a version of an evil stepsister like 5 times. And I just think that's very impressive. Special mention to her. Queen of consistency, honestly. We love that. She did a great job too. Like, very campy. Like, this is camp. I know I mentioned camp in like basically every other video of mine, but like, I like it. What can I say? You want me to lie? And can I just say that Vivica A. Fox as Lucinda completely sold it for me. Like, she was so good. And all of her outfits in this movie, incredible. Like, this is what the live action adaptation of the Winx Club with the fairies after they transform, if they would have transformed, this is what they should have looked like, because it works, it looks cute, and God, I'm gonna say it again, it's campy, but it's campy fun, okay? Like, it's just fun. Can we just like have fun? But yeah, she was great, and she also was really pretty, and I remember thinking that as a kid too. The guy who plays the evil king, Edgar, also played the prince or something, the romantic guy in Princess Bride. A lot of white people that I've come across in my life have really loved that, so I thought I should mention it. I mean, I think I did watch Princess Bride at one point just because everyone always talked about it, and then maybe the hype was too much, but I ended up being like, I mean, it's okay, you know? Moving on to the romance. This was also a great romance. You know why? Because they had the slow build. Listen, I'm gonna say it, like, I should probably do a video on this later on, but I'm not the biggest fan of enemies to lovers, not because I hate the concept, but just because it's been so bastardized over the years that people just come to think you can just be dicks to each other and then you turn a switch and all of a sudden you love each other. Like, that's not a good enemies to lovers. It has to be like enemies to friends to lovers, you know? Or maybe you could switch it up and do enemies in love. I've seen that done before. Very spicy, very zesty, but like, so many people don't know what a good enemies to lovers is, and that's really made me like dislike the trope. But this, it wasn't really enemies to lovers, I will say that. It was very much, you know, we got off on the wrong foot type of thing, but it was still enough that it like left room for their relationship and their romance to build, right? Like, you know, they meet. Actually, rewatching this older, it's very clear that Ella is like not like other girls, but like it works, okay? Like, listen, it works in this setting because the other girls that Ella is being compared to are the ones that, you know, fawn over him, fangirl over him or whatever. And you know what? She's not like them because she pays more political attention. So if you would also, like, if you're also very politically involved, you would probably also be like Ella. So don't hate her for being educated and a critical thinker, okay? We should also have a conversation one day, not today, because I feel like this video is going to be too long anyway. We should have a conversation about the backlash to not like other girls and how a lot of y'all have circled all the way back around to traditional gender roles are good. The part when they're at the giant wedding, like when they sang Somebody to Love, the chemistry, the romance, the extravagance of it all, like that made me feel things for the first time and introduced me to what love truly is. No, but for real though, like they had so much tension. Like what was going on in there? Like it made me uncomfortable kind of to watch it with my parents. You know, like when you would like close your eyes whenever the couple would kiss on screen. Yeah. Oh, and then the scene at the end when like, you know, they're in love, but then like Ella still has her whole obedience thing, and then King Edgar has told her like, to kill Char, and like she breaks the spell on her own like right at the last second. But like he sees it and it's like the betrayal, the tension, the passion. That's peak romance, peak drama. My 8-year-old self ate that shit up, okay? Like that's the perfect pinnacle of young adult romance, okay? Like Harry Potter, don't know him. Katniss, I don't know her. This, Ella Enchanted, that's what it's about. Okay, the storytelling. I actually looked up a few reviews in preparation for this video just to see how Ella Enchanted was received upon its initial release. And it was actually received pretty poorly. Well, I mean, it had mixed reviews. Some of the reviews were saying it doesn't follow the book very closely, so it's not like a very faithful adaptation, which, I mean, I know I made a whole video about how the Winx Club adaptation sucks because it's not faithful to the original. My criticisms in there were different because here, it kept up a lot of the spirit of the original. Like, I think Gail Carson Levine always had kind of a knowing, self-referential quality about all of her writing. Like, another one of her books, Fairest, it's kind of a deconstruction of the fairest of them all thing, right? And even Ella Enchanted had elements of like a Cinderella story to it. So, you know, I think Ella Enchanted kept the spirit of original writing in that way by becoming more of a satirical look at fairy tales in general. Like a lot of the elements are overblown, dramatized, almost ironic in how they're presented. And it's just really fun, you know, because you recognize a lot of the elements and it works as like a self-referential parody while still having like a lot of heart as a story, because it's still a lot of the same story beats that you can like look forward to. But it's like, it's done in a way where it's like, you're not laughing at the story, you're laughing with it. And that's part of what makes it so fun. And transitioning to my last point, the rewatchability. Like I said, I've rewatched this movie multiple times and I never get tired of it. It's just so much fun to rewatch. It's not something like Avengers Endgame or something where it's like, there's a conclusion that's been building up and there it is, you know? But this, it's like, it's a journey. It's like something you enjoy over and over again. And yeah, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun to rewatch. Not only for the nostalgic attachment that you have to it, which I mean, I do. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and because of that, I personally think it's aged pretty great. We're always going to be telling fairy tales. We're always going to be keeping a lot of the same elements in our storytelling. And looking back at Ella Enchanted, it still serves as a pretty strong satirical look at that. So yeah, that's everything that I love about Ella Enchanted. This video took a surprising amount of time to like put together and edit, so you know, if you were wondering why is Mandeep so slow on her uploads, that's why. And I actually had another video that I was trying to get out by last Friday, but that also ended up taking a lot more time than usual, so I guess I'm really just off my game now, huh? If you liked this video and you want to support me, you can pledge to my Patreon, but you know, if you don't want to do that, that's also okay. Like, I'm not going to be mad at you. You can just like the video, comment, you know, for the engagement, for the algorithm, and subscribe. Also, if you liked the background music I was using during this video, it's actually available on Spotify. My friend's little brother put it together, and it's really chill, honestly. If I was still in college, I would probably study to this, so I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Check it out. Thanks for watching.